I don't know how much, if you have questions that you wanna head into
Yeah,
that.
and like you mentioned something that I kind of wanted to spin off of when I meet people, and again, I think we look to this thing with a thought of specific reasons. I want to look good for my wedding. I want to, you know, maybe begin the foundations of a longer, healthy life coming out of sport. And I don't know what that looks like. This could be the thing, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm injured, or I injured my Achilles in running, and these other things aren't really hitting it for me, and maybe this can be something, and let me try this thing. So there's specific reasons I think people come in, and then there's the pleasant surprises that come out on the other end that I didn't expect, that become maybe part of the reasons that we stay. What would you guys share on some of the unexpected treats and surprises that weren't maybe things I initially came for, but things that I really love and value, having been here for anywhere from 2 to 12 years? And I mean, of course, like we all know to some degree, the people make that up. You know, the people in here. Speaking, and you guys can elaborate, there always feels like something magical, and when you leave here, it's like, okay, you're out in the wide open world, and could be open for interpretation, and you come in here, and there's just feels like something special happening in the walls. Always the people, the connection, the ability to be vulnerable, the ability to be challenged, the ability to be supported, the ability to be yourself and be met, and it just feels very beautiful to be a part of and to see. And I know that's not something that people are like, I'm going for that. It's more, I want my body to change, or I want to build muscle, or I want to lose weight. What would you share some of the things that are in that ballpark for you guys?
I think coming into it, I just was thinking, oh, like, I want to do classes because, like, I want someone to just, I want to work out, but I don't want to have to think about it, and I want someone to just, like, tell me what to do. But since then, and, like, fast forwarding to now, I mean, when I first came here, I was majoring in psychology, and since, like, I pretty much immediately fell in love with this, and I was like, actually, I'm going to switch to exercise science and study that instead. And it's just become such, like, an integral part of, like, my life, and, like, way more than I thought it ever would. And I thought it was just going to be like okay, this is going to be like a thing, like, to stay active, and now it's just like a lifestyle for me. I don't know if that sounds like cliche, but yeah, and like unexpected surprises. I mean, like, just the connections you make with people and like the community. And I think one thing that's really unique about here is that there's so many like different people in here, like such a wide range of like everything, but everybody gets along, and everyone, it's like just a family feel. And the constant is that, like, okay, if like everyone that's in here, like, we're family, and it's just like a supportive thing. And like, I've dropped into other gyms, and it's just not always like that. This is definitely a very unique place in that, like, everybody gets along, everybody's supportive, like, it's just such a pure atmosphere. I don't know. And everyone's always like pushing you to like do your best, and everyone like wants what's best for you. So I think that's really unique. And I don't know, I guess just like applying like your fitness outside of here, like, that feels cool. And like, I never thought like it would, I don't know, I never thought about that feeling. And yeah, so I guess just like making a lifestyle out of it, and yeah, making new friends and connections with people. So yeah.
I am very much very similar to what you said. Like I said, it was when you play sports in high school, it's like your parents kind of like drive you there, you do it, you fall in love with it in a way that's different. But like, I don't think that I registered the importance of that as I was in my early 20s and then my mid 20s and into my late 20s. So yes, it came here to like, I want to like lose weight and like change my body to like look better. But then all of a sudden, like, now it's like health, overall health, it's like so important. And having maybe like a scare and having some things like you just like scare with the parents, or knowing that you just want to get ahead of all of these things, like, that's like what definitely I didn't realize I was going to be so open to learning. Like nutrition, same thing, like, you think that you're eating well before you come, and then all of a sudden it's like you learn more about that. And so and then of course, like, making it a career, I never thought that that was going to be something that I was so passionate about. So like being immersed in the community and being friends and under the coach of Sean and the previous coaches, and all of a sudden just being like, wow, this is something that I like really want to do and have the same influence as the others. So all those years. So came for some fitness and
Knowing you two for so long, I think this one jumps out for me for you is I think the pandemic helped prove, without it being its intention, how important working out alongside others. And it's one of the paths here for what we do, but like you were vulnerable and shared like, I struggled with that. When you remove that and you're serving people, but when you come in here, there's also an ability as a coach too, to then be a part of that community and shut that part off and be led and be taught and be guided and be around others and be motivated and be pushed. That maybe if we're honest, like I wouldn't push that hard, or I wouldn't be as consistent if I didn't have other people. And there's days like even myself, like I don't feel the drive sometimes to want to work out, yet I am like, I'm gonna see you at the 10, or I'm gonna work out with my buddy Al, or whoever it is, or just be around the people, and like they're going to infuse that energy in you, and you're gonna, then it helps you when you don't necessarily feel like it, which is normal, and that's gonna happen, and I think
and
that's a part of it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really fun, you know,
Really
like,
fun.
it's real, like that's, when we meet someone in a consultation, they're like, I don't enjoy working out.
Mm-hmm.
I've never enjoyed working out, and we hear it a lot, and it's like people are very vulnerable in that, and I'm sure maybe there was like some aspects of that of like, I'm fearful of lifting heavy or something like that, and all of a sudden you become immersed in that. It's like, I love lifting with Georgia. I love I love that type of thing where you like walk away, you're like,
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's an unexpected surprise,
Yes,
right? And
yeah.
I agree. Like I
Yeah.
remember when I first started working out, I didn't like it either.
Mhm.
When I ran, I was like, how do people enjoy this?
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
felt uncomfortable. I felt out of shape. I felt when I would work out, I didn't get the results at the speed that I want, and I could see how that could just be deflating.
Mhm.
And then what I think in this environment, whether it's a one-on-one or all the way to large group, it helps buffer that of like, you're supported, people help you get through that kind of, that, whatever that gap is of like that time of like, this isn't the funnest thing right here. And there's fun days, and then there's more days like the workout we just did today that's
Yeah.
a little bit more challenging, but you're helped through and someone's there with you or people are there with you and you're like, whew,
Yeah.
okay, like I wanna come back tomorrow or the next day. And it builds the muscle that like what we're all talking about of, I wanna do this for life and I wanna build this as a lifestyle. And that's powerful because then you have a consistent movement and lifting practice that's gonna then nurture your health.
Yeah.
What about for you?
I think I was probably surprised by the positivity here, that wasn't something that I focused on as much. But and we were talking about that earlier, how when people, when you talk to people, you sometimes find out all the difficulties they're going through.
Mhm.
And it seems like everybody's got some kind of shit going on in their
Mhm.
life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And yet they walk in the door and you wouldn't have any idea of it,
Mhm.
because everybody is just feeling positive and ready to go for it, and having a really good time. And then you do sometimes discuss it and hear about that, and
Mhm.
it is something that's, but while they're here, it's off their minds, they're focused on this and on their fitness and on doing the best they can. And I think you have, and you as well, you create this atmosphere of positivity where people are just not complaining. Complaining is not really something anybody wants to hear. You're just trying to do your best and find the, sometimes you may be disappointed in what you did in your workout, but you can still find a kernel of something where you did something that you're proud of, that there was a win in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. When you're saying that, you know, like I think about two things. One, what's so interesting about like the complaining, like we've had like I want to say veterans. So like say somebody that's been here for like 6 months plus, you know, and almost like police that if they do have something of
Yeah.
like a, you know, you hear a little bit of maybe like a complaint or a little bit of like a negative like piece come through, like almost someone who's like, hey, like, you know, like we don't do that here,
Yeah.
or how,
Yeah.
or find maybe a different approach of like being like, that's not something that's going to be helpful in your journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's one thought, and then the other thought I had is someone shared, and I've said this in the coaches chat, and I've said this to Sean too. Like, that's the cutest thing.
So happy.
There, like, we can get caught up in the outside world of like all, you know, some difficulties, some challenges, some negative things. Some people are just kind of wired that way to not bring out positivity or be able to bring out like the bright side of things. And then when they come in here, it's like this enclosed space where it's like shut off. And she's even said like, I don't want to go back out there. Like I don't want to leave. But
Yeah, I'm
it's-
often really slow to get out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's I mean, it's cool for somebody to have that for an hour, whatever it is, an hour plus, 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, to be able to come in and have that experience, you know?
Which I think is another like uniquely railroad thing, because again, dropping into other gyms out like by college is, I don't know, like other people will just be like, oh man, we gotta do this today, like this sucks, and it's like, wow, this is a totally different atmosphere than here, because like,
I don't think
It's-
anybody says sucks.
no, and I think that's it's the little things that make up what railroad is, but it's like the little things that matter, and I don't know, I guess more broadly, it's the little things in life that matter the most, because you only have so many big things, but it's like the little daily things, but just like the little things to pay attention to of like, okay, we're not gonna complain, and it makes a big difference in the gym atmosphere.
And like, doesn't that feel good, like to not complain? You know,
Yeah,
like I feel
it
like it
does.
feels good to not like,
Yeah.
we all do our fair share, I'm sure, of like getting things off our chest, but it feels good to like not do that
Yeah.
for a certain period of
Because
time.
when you are, you're
And
like
to
just
find the
mulling.
positive in everything.
Exactly,
Yeah,
'Cause it's
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, growth.
Hearing it is probably one of the most prideful things I can take in helping create a culture like that.
Yeah.
Of,
No, you really
uh,
have created that culture. I
and-
know that when I started here, that I didn't get it and I didn't do it. And then I really did learn
It's
it.
teaching, yeah, and there was a time in our tenure where we had a complaint-filled culture, and I did not, and I was like, this is not what I want this to be, and how I want this to feel, and it took shifts, and it took a lot of removal of certain energies, and that came with a lot of hardship and a lot of questioning myself, and you know, team discussions, and then from that, it cleared out a lot of essentially the weeds in the garden, and then how we grew what we know to be today. And then it speaks to what we're talking about here of the opportunity to come in, and even the idea of like the effort you put forth is really what counts, and it doesn't matter how that looks, what rep that is, what weight that is, it's what you're putting behind something, not the score, the time, the load, and that's beautiful. And then appreciating that, supporting one another in that, and creating that, and like you guys said, like the ability to find the good in anything, and seeing adults from 22 to in their 70s plus begin that shift, because maybe outside, maybe we are a little bit, and just as people, we are a little bit conditioned survival mode to, seek the bad or like protective or whatever, and then now it opens up another door, like you said, of growth, big on growth. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Just a couple more questions. We'll talk nutrition and injuries. These are big. We'll go injuries first. I know myself with my shoulder, your back. Sydney, I think you're most escape. You're escape free
Knock
right
on
now.
wood.